it was then that I decided, yeah, I'm gonna set a long-term goal. 15 years old, I'm like, I'm gonna be very mature about this. In 20 years, I'm gonna give myself 20 years, I wanna be a millionaire. And to me, this young, naive kid, that sounded like more money than anybody could ever spend. $1 million. I wanted to have $1 million in the bank, and I wanted to be making $1 million per year. So, no other long-term goals except for that. A lot of people in the world have just a financial goal and just a financial set of parameters that they utilize to be able to gauge whether somebody's successful or not, whether they're successful or not. But this was just this subconscious goal that I had in the back of my head always. $1 million in the bank, $1 million net worth. 6 dental practices, and my CPA calls and says, hey, check out your tax return. I need you to check it for accuracy. We need to e-sign this. It needs to be sent off by midnight tonight. I pulled out my laptop and I looked at the top line, and there it was. The first time it was like $1 million, 38,000. First time in my life, made $1 million. And I took that laptop and I shut it and I stared out the window of my home office, and I thought to myself, this is really weird because I finally accomplished this 20-year goal, and I've never been more miserable in my life. Miserable. And that was when I started this framework that we now call the 4 Futures, and we use this every single day in my coaching group. And it stands for mind, meaning, muscle, and money, if you're gonna go in clockwise manner from the top. Mind, meaning, muscle, and money. So let's take mindset. Your ability to handle stress, your internal dialogue, what you're saying over and over and over again in your mind. How do you react? We call it equanimity. We have a word per year in my coaching group. Equanimity was our word last year. Your ability to handle stressful situations with grace. Okay, equanimity, my ability to handle stress, my mindset. How is that if I was to grade myself at that particular time in my life? Huge benchmark, hit a 20-year goal. My mindset was terrible, constantly beating myself up, no ability to handle stress. So stressed that all of my quadrants were suffering, and I'll get to that here in a second. But my mindset, if I was to gauge myself and grade myself back then when I had accomplished this huge feat of becoming a millionaire, I would have to give myself like a 0 out of 10 in the mindfulness quadrant. The meaning quadrant now, we define it as personal relationships, your legacy, your purpose, your why, the reason why we're doing all of this, the reason why we're working so hard, the reason why I travel away from my family, the reason why I spend 2 months a year in third world countries. Why? My purpose at the time, my personal relationships, my marriage was on the rocks because I did not know how to handle stress, and I took it all home with me, and I was always gone. And when I was home, I was vacant. She was basically a single mom to those three young boys. They called me a boss hole at work because I was not a nice person to be around. I led in a very dictatorial, negative feedback loop to my 50 or so employees at the time. I was not a nice person. I was not the type of person that you would want to hear speak, and I was in no position to be mentoring or giving anybody advice because that period of my life, I was just not in a good place. Meaning quadrant, 0 out of 10. Muscle quadrant, I was an athlete in college. I was an athlete my whole life. I prided myself, I was a personal trainer for 13 years. I prided myself as always being in the best shape. My muscle quadrant, I was drinking to be able to fall asleep. I was eating fast food on the road. I wasn't getting into the gym. I would have to give myself a 0 out of 10 in the muscle quadrant. But the money quadrant, millionaire, baby. I had a beautiful custom house on a golf course, 2 brand new cars, kids in private school, 6 successful dental practices. By all outside appearances, I was killing it. Let's just give me a 10 out of 10 there. So I'm not a math major, but a 10 out of 40 is still a failing grade. So when we go into this profession, we have a couple things in mind. Whether or not you want to admit it, a big part of it probably had to do with financial security. Probably some of it was the fact that you had a DR in front of your name, and there's some pretty good street cred that comes with that. But more than anything, I bet most of you guys became dentists because you wanted to help people, and you saw a way to positively affect your family and the community, and still makes a little bit of coin at the same time. Is that fair? You don't have to admit about the coin, but I'm thinking that most people are here for the right reasons. But I think that it's very, very important as you go through your career that you have some sort of assessment mechanism to be able to say, am I really successful just because I finally crested the $200,000 income mark, or the $300,000 income mark, or the $500,000 or the $1 million income mark? Am I really successful if my personal relationships are falling apart, or I can't make it up a flight of stairs without losing my breath, or I can't bend down to pick up my kids, or my mindset is constantly spinning that I'm a loser and I'm not worthy and I hate my life? These are just some of the easy ways that you can assess yourself from time to time to make sure that you're staying on track.